Do you struggle to get a good mix? Do you not want to spend time wrapping your head around compressors and EQs and all the list of plugins that you would need to mix? What if I told you you only needed one plugin to mix everything and it made it as easy as scrolling through different presets to get a good solid mix in? If that sounds like you, well then I have good news for you. That is what we are doing today. Toontrack is sponsoring this video. They just released 𝗦𝐿 𝗃. We're gonna dive into this program and I'm gonna show you around. So I have a project opened up here. We're gonna use 𝗦𝐿 𝗃 to mix every instrument and even do the mastering. This is what it sounds like. Pretty bare bones at the moment. That's because there's no processing going on this at all. Now these are real drums that I recorded several years ago. If you were using a drum VST, it would sound even better. But I decided to use this track with the real drums because I wanna show all that this plugin has to offer. And I think what you can do with drums in 𝗦𝐿 𝗃 is really, really awesome. So let's just start with drums, right? Why not? So I'm gonna solo the drums here. You can see I have a bass drum bus, I have a snare bus, a tom bus, and an overhead bus. I'm not gonna get into the weeds so much on the individual tracks. I'm just going to mix them at their buses. Just for context, if you look in these buses, I have a lot of different things going on here. Like in the bass drum bus, for example, I have these split up in between fast strokes and then slower strokes. You can hear I have the low end cut a little bit on the faster double bass drums. That's all been printed onto the track during the editing process. Same thing here with the snare bus. I have the real snare. I have 2 samples. This is all printed down. This is stuff that I would do in the editing process after I tracked. So this is just the mixing portion. We're not gonna do any editing. We're not gonna do any tracking or anything like that. We're just gonna dive straight into the mixing. So I have the drums soloed here. And the first thing, we need to make this bass drum sound a lot better. Let's load up an instance of 𝗦𝐿. And let's go through the plugin real quick here. So when you load this up, you will get this quick start prompt. And the thing that I like about the quick start prompt is it filters everything for you automatically just by making a few selections. So we're just gonna go drums here, kick, and you can see this is the new layout. This is cool. We're gonna get into this in a second here. I'm gonna go over to the filters first. If you are familiar with the 𝗦𝐿 products, you're probably more familiar with like the filters type view. We already picked drums in the quick start prompt, and then you could filter by genre here if you want, or what you're doing, group bus, whatever. We will use that later on here, but you know, you could just filter this down even further if you wanted to. Now the similarity map, what's really neat about this is if you have ever been scrolling through lists of presets, it can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes. So what they did here is really smart, in my opinion. They made this map and they sort of group things by similarity. So let's say that over here on the right, we still have the list if you want to use the list, but let's say we just want to pick the metal kick. You can see it down here, and then we have kick in, metal kick 2. It's by things that are similar to it. Over here we have kick drum, electronic kick drum, kick out. The further we go away from this, the more dissimilar these presets get. So let's just go through some presets and see if we can find one that we like. We're gonna solo the bass drum. Okay, so once we found a preset we liked, we actually have a little bit more control over it here. Now, the thing about 𝗦𝐿 is it doesn't overwhelm you with the amount of settings that you can have. Like, just even compressors, a lot of the time are overwhelming if you don't know how to mix or what you're doing with them. Like, just a compressor can be really overwhelming. Like, what do I set the settings to? It's too much. So with this, all of that stuff is just kind of baked into the preset, and they give you a little bit of control so that you have some variation with it so that you can really fine tune it in to the specific sound that you're looking for. But for the most part, you just go through here and you find a preset you like, and then you kind of move on. So once we have our preset that we like here, so I'm on kick metal 2. I mean, I think that sounds pretty good. We can even stack presets here if we want. So maybe we have that and we want, let's go back into our filters here and we're gonna go drums, kick, and then we want a bus. We have the kick drum bus over here. So let's hear that. And then we could turn it on and off to see if we like the changes we just made. Okay, I think it sounds better, but we need to get going on these other drums here. So let's go to the snare next. We're gonna load up 𝗎𝐼𝐼𝐼 3 again, drums, snare, and then you can see all of our snare options here. We have a gated snare there if we want to cut out the other cymbals and stuff that are bleeding into our snare mic. You know, that gate is almost perfect on that. Let's do that. And then let's add another preset in here. And we're gonna go to the same thing. We're gonna go drums, pick our snare. I like the way that this snare sounds a lot. Now, obviously, if you wanted a different snare sound, you could just go through these. There are a lot of different options here. I'm actually gonna save this as a user preset. We could call it Taylor Punchy Snare. But like if you wanted something different, we could do... If you want a cool 80s Phil Collins snare, there you go. Pretty cool. There's a lot of cool stuff you could do in there, but I'm gonna keep this snare. I like this one. I think we're gonna be a little bit loud. I'm gonna actually adjust the volume in the plugin here. You know what? Let's add in another one here. Let's add in another... I think that sounds pretty good. Let's listen to it. Okay, now we need to get these toms under control. Toms is one of those things, I'm just gonna highlight a portion here. Now just for reference, when I go through and I'm editing my tom recordings, I actually like to go through and cut everything that's not like a tom hit and then manually fade them out. So I'm like manually sort of gating my toms. That's just the way I like to do it. But you know, your mileage may vary there. Let's loop a tom section here. Drums, toms. I like the way that sounds. I think that sounds really good. Just adjust the levels here a little bit. Go 𝗎𝐼𝐼𝐼 3 again. Drums, hi-hat and cymbals. And we're just gonna jump right in here. I'm just gonna preemptively turn the volume way down because they were very loud. I actually like what that's doing a lot. We'll do the same thing here. We're gonna go back to the similarity map and we're going to listen. Okay, you can hear everything is really glued together in the overheads there. Now we just need to glue all of the drums together before we can start mixing in everything else. So we're gonna go to the drum bus here. Can you guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna add in 𝗎𝐼𝐼𝐼 3. We're gonna go drums, full kit. I like this mono room shaper. It's just really intense. The heavy drum bus 1 might be a little bit more appropriate for the mix. This mono room shaper is very, very intense, but it's a very cool effect. We actually have this mix control down here, and if we change the mix, maybe I just want to mix in a little bit of this. It is very cool, but I think I'm gonna go with the a little bit safer option here, and we're gonna go with this heavy drum bus 1. And you can just hear how it makes the drum sound like a drum set that you'd actually be hearing in a room and not just little individual pieces of drum kit. Now, what you can do is you can resize the plugin, you know, and if you push it down like that, then the rack kind of goes away. Like you get just the basic controls here. What's nice about this is, let's say I want to see 2 instances of this at once because I'm trying to balance between the 2 of them. I can do that. So let's, like over here on the left, I have my drum bus, and over here on the right, I have my overheads. I want to go back into the snare one more time here. I want this snare to sound a little bit more explosive. We're going to go into a group bus and we're going to go into our reverbs here. Okay, I think that sounds better. I think it, you know, just made the snare sound a little bit less less pokey and like an isolated drum. Let's unsolo the drums and just listen to them with the mix. It's gonna sound really weird because we don't have anything going on with any of the other instruments yet, but that's okay. We're gonna mix everything else in the context of the mix and not isolate everything. So let's just start at the beginning again. We need to go to this guitar for sure. Guitar, electric. I've just found from using this plugin that the high gain stuff is up here. So let's go with a, let's start with this Gentifier. Actually, I think that's the one right there, the 1991. And this note is a little bit out on its own. So, you know, it's a little bit more unique from the other presets, but I think this one sounds really good. Let's just go with that right there. Now, we're gonna pick something different for the other side. I've been doing this more and more lately. I find that it helps a lot when your mix gets mono-sum to not have your guitars sort of disappear in the background. So we are going to go back up into this area up here. I like this tight rhythm a lot. And our guitars are pretty much the same level there, so I think that's all we need to do on the guitars. Pretty easy, right? Now with each of the guitars, when you load these up, you do have this electric guitar pre-EQ here. Now what's nice about that is it will analyze your track and use that to sort of shape the sound going into the amplifier for you. So let's try that real quick. Let's do that on the other one as well. Big help. You really notice in the distortion in the top end, it's just getting like tighter and like less grainier and just like less harsh in the top end when you do that. If I was mixing this normally, pre-EQing your DI is a really good way to achieve that result, and just being able to do it with a click of one button is awesome. That actually saves a lot of time. So let's go into the guitar bus now. Now we're gonna go into the filters because we want to be group bus here. You see with Guitar Bus 4, we have a ton of different controls here if we really want to get into it, but I'm just going to go with Guitar Bus 3. We're getting a little bit of console emulation, a little bit of stereo control, a little bit of gain reduction, a little bit of EQ. I think it's sounding pretty good so far. Let's go into our bass here. Our bass needs some love. Easy mix, You can see the only plugin I've used this whole mix session is 𝗎𝐿𝐼. And it's all pretty simple here. So we're gonna go bass, we're gonna go into amps. And right away we have good for metal bass. Let's listen to that one. I mean, I can't argue with that. It sounds pretty good. I think we have a pretty good bass though. Like if we just mute the vocals. All right, now the poor vocalist. Let's give the vocalist some love here. Vocals, lead vocals. Look, we have distorted vocals up here, radio vocals, effects, vocal devil's tongue. That's hilarious. Oh look, we have a scream vocals here. Let's see how good that does. Wow, this distorted vocals is really good. That might be the easiest time I've ever had mixing vocals. We could really stop right there, but you know, if we wanted to, we could actually add in maybe some like slight reverb or something to the vocals just to make them sound a little bit more, you know, in the room. Okay, let's go. I have the highs here on a separate track, and we're gonna add another instance of, you guessed it, 𝗎𝐿𝐼 vocals. We're gonna call these lead, because there are parts where these are leads. You know, I really liked what we had before, to be honest with you. I thought, oh wait, let's try heavy vocals. These are really good too, but I think I like this distorted. We're gonna actually like just increase the drive on these way more. And we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna add some reverb to these. Go vocals, reverb. We're mostly done with the mix now. We're gonna move on to mastering here in just 1 second, but there's one thing that I need to fix here, and it's this. You can hear I have some automated panning going on there. Let's load an instance of 𝗎𝐼 here. And what I want is I want something that's a little bit, we're just gonna have to experiment with this part. So I'm gonna loop it. That took like 2 seconds. This is exactly what I want. Okay, I really like the way this is coming out. The only thing left we have to do here is add some mastering to it to kind of like glue everything together and make it loud. Now you can do this first and mix into mastering, but I find that with 𝗎𝐼 specifically, since we have like these presets sort of sounds and stuff, and we're also gonna use some of the AI sort of automation features, I find that it's actually easier to use it at the end here. So we're gonna load this up. We're gonna click mastering. Now we can go auto mastering or all mastering presets. Let's just do the auto mastering. Let's see what we have here. This modern pop master is so loud. I think this one sounds very good for this track, just the preset. So let's do this and let's analyze the track. And I'm gonna be a little bit more aggressive with this loudness. Now there's a whole deep conversation you can get into about LUFS and how loud your master should be and blah, 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 blah. I know what I like personally. I know what works for me. So that's what I'm gonna do. But you do have this LUFS meter here, which is really nice for mastering. So. I think it's a little safe. I think we can kind of go extreme here. This is modern metal master softer. Maybe we do just the modern metal. Let's see what happens there. think I'm cool with this. I think that this mix sounds so much better than my original mix of this song. If you listen to this song on Spotify and then you compare and contrast to it on YouTube, I think it's pretty dramatically different. And I think this sounds way better, and it was way easier to do. I can't even, like, I've spent less than an hour recording this video right now. So I got a full mix from scratch in under an hour. I think that's really awesome. I think that's really great. And I think that really speaks to the strengths of this plugin. And of course, these are just some of the features in 𝗎Mix 3. We have a metronome over here. We have a tuner. This works in standalone mode as well. So if you want to use this for low latency monitoring and run your DAW with a larger buffer for mixing, you can do that. And you have all of the same presets in here, meaning that you can use 𝗎Mix 3 for low latency monitoring for vocals or for recording bass or recording guitar. It's really, really versatile. It's really, really cool. Another thing that I want to point out over here real quick is we do have these A, B, C, and D slots. So let's say we set up different effects chains. Like maybe we want this modern metal master here, and we want to be able to easily compare it to another master mix chain that we have over here. We could do that. Let's go filters. We're just going to go master, and then maybe we want a rock master modern on slot B. Makes it very easy to go back and forth between 4 different states, and you could just easily compare and contrast what you like more or less. You can obviously save these presets. You can just make your life a lot easier. All right, shout out to Toontrack for making this video possible. If you liked this video, make sure to hit the like button. If you really liked it, consider subscribing or joining these awesome people over here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.